Hare Krishna. Welcome all the devotees for today's session on Srimad Bhagavatam. So we'll continue with our 15th chapter of the first canto. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatah Jayamudire नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Hare Krishna. So we are going to be studying two shlokas today, which are very wonderful shlokas. So maybe Kripamai Sita Devi Mataji, you can repeat after me, or Punam Mataji, if you can. Arjuna
Yes,
Uvacha.
Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Punam Mataji, please repeat
Arjuna
after me.
Vacha.
Yeah, thank you. After many weeks, I will say months, able to hear Punam Mataji's voice. Vanchit aham Maharaj.
Vanchit aham Maharaja.
Harina Bandhurupina.
Harina Bandhu Rupina.
Yena me apavruta.
Yen me apahrutam.
Tejah deva vishmapanam mahat.
Tejo deva vishma panam mahat.
Yasya kshana viyogena.
Yasya kshana viyogena.
Loka hi apriya darshanah.
Loko hi apriye darshanah.
Uktena rahita hi esha.
Uktena rahito hi esha.
Mrutakah prochyate yatha.
Mritaka prochyate yatha.
Hare Krishna. Sakishwarani Mataji, can you lead us? Arjuna
एक मिनिट.
Uvacha.
अर्जुन उवाच.
Arjuna Uvacha.
एक मिनिट.
Vanchit aham
अर्जुन
maha.
उवाच. वञ्चित अहं महाराज.
Vanchit aham maharaja.
हरिणा बन्धुरूपिणा.
Harina bandhurupina.
येन मे अपहृतं तेजः.
Yena me apavrutam tejah.
देव विस्मापनं महत्.
Deva vismapanam mahat.
यस्य क्षणवियोगेन
Yasya kshana viyogena.
लोकः हि अप्रियदर्शनः.
Loka hi apriya darshanah.
उक्थेन रहित हि एषः.
Ukthena rahita hi esha.
मृतकः प्रोच्यते यथा.
Mrutakah prochyate yatha.
अर्जुन उवाच.
You can read full Mataji. एक बार हो गया था पहले.
हाँ?
You can read complete shloka.
अर्जुन उवाच वञ्चितः महाराज हरिणा बन्धुरूपिणा येन मे अपहृत तेज देव विस्मापनं महत्. यस्य क्षणवियोगेन लोकः हि अप्रियदर्शन उक्तेन रहित हि एष मृतकः प्रोच्यते यथा. हरे कृष्ण.
Arjuna uvacha vanchit aham महाराज हरिणा बंधुरूपिणा येन मे अपहृतं तेज देव विस्मापनं महत् यस्य क्षण वियोगेन लोकः हि अप्रियदर्शनः उक्थेन रहितः हि एष मृतकः प्रोच्यते यथा. पूनम माता जी, देन
आशीष प्रभु जी.
कृपामयी सीता देवी माता जी, देन आशीष प्रभु जी.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Arjun uvacha vanchito aham maharaja harina bandhurupina yen me apratam de tejo deva vismapanam mahat yashikshana viyogena loko hi apriya darshanah ukthena rahito hi esha mritaka prochyate yatah.
आशीष प्रभु जी.
Arjuna Vacha वंचितो अहम महाराज हरिना बंधुरूपिणा येन मे अपहृतं तेजो देव विस्मापनं महत् यस्य शना वियोगेन लोको हि अप्रियदर्शनः उक्तेन रहितो हि एषा मृतक पृच्छयेत यथा। हरे कृष्ण।
कृपा में माता जी।
हरे कृष्ण दंडवत माताजी प्रभुजी।
हरे कृष्ण।
अर्जुन उवाच वंचित अहम महाराजा हरिणा बन्धुरूपिणा येन येन मे अप्रदम तेज देव विश्वमपनं महत् यस्य कस्नाव्यो योगेन लोका हि अपर्यदर्शना युक्तेन रक्षिता हि सा मृतः रोचदा यथा। थैंक यू माताजी।
Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Arjuna said, O king, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, who treated me exactly like an intimate friend, has left me alone. Thus my astounding power, which astonished even the demigods, is no longer with me. I have just lost him, whose separation for a moment would render all the universes unfavorable and void like bodies without life. Purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In the Bhagavad-gītā 10.41, the Lord says, anyone specifically powerful and opulent in wealth, strength, beauty, knowledge, and all that is materially desirable is to be considered but a product of an insignificant portion of the complete whole of my energy. No one therefore can be independently powerful in any measure without being endowed by the Lord. When the Lord descends on the earth along with his eternal ever liberated associates, he not only displays the divine energy possessed by himself but also empowers his associate devotees with the required energy to execute his mission of incarnation. It is also stated in Bhagavad-gītā 4.5 that the Lord and his eternal associate descend on the earth many times, but the Lord remembers all the different roles of incarnation, whereas the associate, by his supreme will, forget them. Similarly, the Lord takes away with him all his associates when he disappears from the earth. The power and energy which were bestowed upon Arjuna were required for fulfillment of the mission of the Lord. But when his mission was fulfilled, the emergency powers were withdrawn from Arjuna because the astounding powers of Arjuna, which were astonishing even to the denizens of heaven, were no longer required, and they were not meant for going back home, back to Godhead. If endowment of powers and withdrawal of powers by the Lord are possible even for a great devotee like Arjuna or even the demigods in heaven, then what to speak of the ordinary living being who are but figs compared to such great souls. The lesson is therefore that no one should be puffed up for his power borrowed from the Lord. The sane man should rather feel obliged to the Lord for such benefaction and must utilize such power for the service of the Lord. Such power can be withdrawn at any time by the Lord. So the best use of such power and opulence is to engage them in the service of the Lord. Uh, Factually, uh, for a living being, there is no one dearer than the Lord. The Lord expands himself by innumerable parts and parcels as Swansh and Vibhinansh. Paramatma is the Swansh part of the Lord, whereas the Vibhinansh parts are the living beings. As the living being is the important factor in the material body, for without the living being, the material body has no value. Similarly, without Paramatma, the living being has no status quo. Similarly, Brahman or Paramatma has no locus standi without the Supreme Lord Krishna. This is thoroughly explained in the Bhagavad-gītā. They are all interlinked with one another or interdependent factors. Thus, in the ultimate issue, the Lord is the summum bonum, and therefore the vital principle of everything. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Ena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Ham Sri Guroho Sri Yuttapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavancha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitancha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamine Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashchato Desha Tarine Vancha Kalpatarubhecha Krupa Sindhubhe Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavrindha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Today we try to understand shloka number 5 and 6. Prabhuji will tell us in detail which power given by the Lord Krishna to Arjuna after when they going to their dham. That time all power is not necessary for Arjuna, and all power is vanished, and he saw see like Niste. Prabhuji will tell us in detail. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam Mataji. So we see that Lord Hari is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Arjuna remembers how he treated him like an intimate friend. But then he shares the sad news that Krishna has left him alone. And the astounding power which he used to have, which astonished even the demigods, was no longer with Arjuna. Arjuna says that he has lost Krishna, whose separation, even for a moment, would render all the universes unfavorable and void. Separation of Krishna makes everything look like bodies without life, and he is in that situation. So Prabhupada ji tells us, as Krishna has said in Bhagavad-gītā, 10th chapter, 41st verse, that anything which is specifically powerful, opulent, maybe wealth, strength, beauty, knowledge, so whatever materially could be desirable, all that is considered as a product of very, very minuscule portion of Krishna's energy. Yad yad vibhutim asatvam Srimad urjitam evacha tat deva avagachatvam mama tejaha asha ansha sambhavam. So Krishna says, know that all opulent, beautiful and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. So what it means is, no one can be independently powerful in any measure without being endowed by the Lord. So when Krishna, he takes incarnation, when he descends on the earth, he always comes with his eternal ever liberated associates. So whenever he is coming, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. So he is coming whenever there is the need for his arrival. So he not only displays the divine energy possessed by himself, but at that time he also empowers his associate devotees with required energy to execute his mission. And what is the mission of Krishna? Dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So establishment of the religious principles. That is the duty. That is the work for which he is coming, and he comes along with his associates. So whatever all activities are required to be done to re-establish religion, the strength, the power to do all those activities is given by Krishna to all the associates who accompany. And Krishna always comes. He comes many, many times. And whenever Krishna comes, he always remembers whatever were the different roles which he has done, incarnations he has done. But the associates, they always forget. And that is as per Krishna's will. Now Krishna tells this again in Bhagavad-gītā only, 4th chapter, 5th verse. Shri Bhagavan uvacha bahuni me vetitani janmane tava cha arjuna tan iyam veda sarvani na tvam vetha parantapa. So the personality of Godhead said, many, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. So Krishna always remembers everything. And he has so many incarnations. In Brahma-samhita 5.33, we understand the incarnations of Krishna. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Nava Yauvanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabham Madurlabham Atma Bhaktau Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda Krishna, who is the original person, absolute, infallible, without beginning. Although expanded into unlimited forms, he is still the same, original, the oldest, and the person always appearing as a fresh youth. Such eternal, blissful, all-knowing forms of the Lord are usually not understood by even the best Vedic scholars, but they are always manifest to pure, unalloyed devotees. And in similar series, in 39 shloka of Brahma Samhita, it is again mentioned, Ramadi Murteshu Kalaniyamena Tishtan Nana Avtaram Akarod Bhuvaneshu Kirtu Krishna Swayam Sambhavat Paramha Puman Yogo Vindam Adi Purusham Tam Aham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Govind Krishna, who is always situated in various incarnations such as Rama, Narsiya, and many sub-incarnations, but who is the original personality of Godhead, known as Krishna, and who incarnates personally also. So Krishna, when he has come as it is, he is that original personality. And he has empowered his associates. And the Pandavas, who are the eternal devotees, they are eternally liberated and specifically empowered by Krishna. But when Krishna goes, he ensures that all the powers he has taken and all his associates, they also disappear from the earth with him. The power, the energy which Arjuna had received was needed because he had to fulfill the mission of the Lord. But as soon as the mission was fulfilled, the powers were withdrawn because those powers were no longer required. Neither are they needed to go back home, back to God. So it proves that the endowment of powers and withdrawal of powers is possible. If it is done even for great devotee like Arjuna, demigods in heaven, then they are just ordinary living beings. So what can we expect? So what it makes is that we should never be puffed up for the powers that we get, which are actually borrowed from Lord. We should rather feel obliged to the Lord for the benefactions and must utilize the power for the service of the Lord. Because it can be withdrawn by Lord at any time. And the best use for such power and opulence is to engage them in the service of the Lord. In fact, I recently was discussing with one of the devotee, mother and a child. So the son is working in a call center right now. He's little specially abled. So she was narrating her history, how once upon a time when her husband was alive a couple of years ago, they were so very happy. But in an unfortunate infection, the husband died. And the son and the mother, they were left alone in that house. And it became a big mental shock for them. So they went into anxiety and depression. So they had to leave the house and they were now staying in a rented house. The lady who never worked outside had to take up a job as a teacher to support the son. And now while they are staying outside, their original place somehow has been taken over by some news elements. So Krishna can withdraw anything from anyone, any moment. We don't even know. So we should always be thankful to Krishna. In fact, departure of Krishna, just like the setting of the sun, is marking the beginning of Kali Yuga. And Arjuna realizes that without Krishna, all opulence, power, prestige, they are meaningless. For a devotee, there can be no one dearer than Krishna. And Krishna himself has expanded by innumerable parts and parcels, such as Swaumsha and Vibhinnaumsha. So Paramatma is the Swaumsha part of Krishna, whereas the living beings, the Jeev, they are the Vibhinnaumsha. So as the living being is the important factor in material body, because without living being, the material body has no value. Similarly, Paramatma is more important. So Brahman and Paramatma, even that has no locus standi if Krishna is not there, because Krishna is the source of that. So all the living beings, the Brahman, the Paramatma, Krishna, they are all interlinked with one another. They are interdependent factors. So the ultimate reason is that Krishna is the summum bonum and a vital principle for everything. Arjuna used to carry Gandiva, a great bow, and he defeated great warriors like Bhishma Karna. The moment Krishna has gone, it is powerless in his hands. So this is the divine lesson for all, that the material strength and intelligence is temporary and dependent on Krishna. Just like a light bulb can glow only when connected to electricity, similarly, without Krishna, even greatest heroes become powerless. Arjuna here is actually demonstrating the mood of separation, viraha, which is considered the highest form of devotion. The gopis of Vrindavan, they also experience deep separation from Krishna. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself exhibited intense feelings of separation from Krishna. So the other thing that we learn from these verses is that for devotees, rather than enjoying Krishna's presence, they long to serve Krishna selflessly, even if it is in separation. Just like in Bhagavad-gītā 9.22, we see Krishna as mentioned, Ananya Chintayanto Mam Ye Janaha Paryupasate. So Krishna promises to take care of his devotees completely. But when one forgets him, everything collapses. So we have to ensure that we never forget Krishna. And that is why the importance of sadhana. Why we always start early morning with chanting, with Mangal Arti, recitation of the Shikshashtakam, Tulsi Arti, and then we do our 16 round chanting, followed by the Bhagavatam class or the Bhagavad-gītā class. Then we take Krishna Prasadam. Throughout the day, we try to remember Krishna by giving up our activities, whatever we do to Krishna. Yet, like we had this shloka which Mataji was reciting just now today in the Hindi Bhagavad-gītā class that we were having. When Krishna says, Yat karoshi yat ashnasi yat joshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. That whatever we do, we have to give up to Krishna. And that is how we live the whole day. And the evening, we again gather for Gaur Arti in our family. Then we have the Bhagavatam or the Bhagavad-gītā. And then again, one round of chanting. So the entire objective is that our remembrance for Krishna should increase. Our dependence on Krishna should be understood by us. Because Arjuna's realization teaches us that true strength comes from Krishna, not from personal efforts. So we must always remember and serve Krishna with humility, recognizing that everything we have is by His mercy. The best way to stay connected to Krishna is by chanting His holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. So the mightiest warrior Arjuna felt helpless without Krishna. If such a great hero depended completely on Krishna, should we not also take full shelter of Krishna and engage in devotional service as asked by Krishna himself? Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shucha. And he's telling us, we are not expected to do anything. He's not expecting anything special from us. He's just expecting that we remember Him, we serve Him, we worship Him. That's all. Man manabho man bhakto madhyaji mam namaskar. This is what He wants. That we should engage our mind always in thinking of Krishna, becoming His devotee, offering obeisances to Krishna and worshipping up Him. And then surely we'll come back to Krishna, is what Krishna has promised us. Thank you very much.